Alright, so in our video today, we will be covering the basics of how to play the piccolo and how to have a good response with the piccolo. And most people ask, can it be so easy to teach somebody the basics of the piccolo? And the answer to that we will find later on. First, we have to remember that in the basics of playing the piccolo, one must understand the history and the importance of the role of the piccolo. So, for historical facts, it started to be used around 1750 in one version of a special symphony written by a Frenchman. And usually, the piccolo's role is to double the flute and violins, and therefore make it kind of a brilliant ending or a really high-pitched whine that allows the melody to be heard better. So for right now, we're going to go ahead and use the piccolo that I have here to describe some of the different parts. This right here is called the lip plate, and this is on the head joint. And here is the body with the several keys of the piccolo. So now that we understand the basic components of the piccolo, we will use it to, nonetheless, make a sound on the piccolo. One thing that most beginners would like to do is take the head joint only and find the small hole located right here and place your lip right on the lip plate to where the center of this hole is going to be lined up with the hole that you create with your mouth called the embouchure. One thing about an embouchure is that you want to make sure that it is a oval shape. And as more professional players will find out, it is better to use a diamond shape. But for now, we start with the simple oval. When playing the piccolo, you have to make sure that your air stream is consistent and very fast, and that it strikes the lip plate across and not into. And so whenever you have the proper embouchure, you get a sound like a little train whistle. Very simple. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to learn to do is how to form your embouchure properly. You have to remember that your lips should be relaxed and that there should be a nice hole that lines up with this hole. If you have too much tension or not enough air, you won't be able to get the proper response from this. Now we're going to learn how to put the piccolo together. You take the head joint and the bottom area of the black body and attach it here into the barrel. It's important not to touch the keys of the piccolo, as this may harm the piccolo. Now that you have your piccolo together, we're going to learn how to make a simple sound on the piccolo. Again, it's just like what you practice with your embouchure and the lip and the airstream to blow straight over, but this time we're going to use a simple fingering. And this fingering is called the concert F. And it is basically the one note that many piccolists use to tune the instrument. And so you take it and you press thumb, 1, 2, 3, 1, pinky, and you blow properly. And with that, you can adjust your head joint as necessary. For our next little demonstration, we are going to go ahead and teach the note G, which is right above the F on the staff. And that is fingered as thumb, 1, 2, 3, pinky. After that, we learn the third basic note, which is the A, which is right here. And that is fingered as thumb, 1, 2, pinky. The fourth note, and also the secondary tuning note, is B flat, which is fingered as thumb, 1, 1, pinky. And the last note of the 5 basic notes that we learn is a C, which is fingered as thumb, 1, pinky. One interesting thing about all of these notes is that together they make basically the first 5 notes of a scale that most piccolists like to warm up on. One thing about using the piccolo and those notes is that it gives you the basic structure and how the piccolo should sound. One thing that you must always remember when playing the piccolo is to use the proper amount of air. A slow air string can result in a very weak sound such as this. And it can also cause some tuning issues. One thing that piccolists need to learn to practice is a lot of their virtuosity, such as maintaining balance and a steady mind when passages get rather difficult. One thing piccolists like to do is to practice their chromatic scale to as many octaves as necessary, and that'll help them basically be able to play any type of run that they might encounter in their musical experience. Another thing that piccolists are famous for is probably their piercing sound. One bad thing about the piccolo is that with this piercing sound comes responsibility, such as being able to tune, because the piccolo is probably the highest instrument in the entire orchestra next to a violin. It can produce some sounds that are beautiful in its low register. It can also produce sounds that are a little bit shriller, and even shriller. And it can get very difficult when things get that high. So in conclusion, we can review that the piccolo comes in two parts. It has multiple keys, and it is usually used as a type of frill to the orchestra so that the melody can be carried. The last step that you're going to want to know about the piccolo is how to disassemble it. It's very simple. You take it by the barrel, which is this silver part right here, and you pull on the head joint in a twisting motion. Again, be careful not to touch the keys, as it may harm the piccolo. You take the case and hold it firmly, and then place it in just as so, to where all the parts are firmly placed inside of the case. Then you close the case, making sure that no pressure is applied, and you latch the case. And that concludes our presentation on how to play the piccolo, with also the proper technique behind the piccolo.